Hi, my name's Luke, welcome back to PhotoBite, and today we're checking out the GoPro Hero 9, and we're going to be figuring out what they should be doing with the GoPro Hero 10. Let's get into it. So GoPro have long been dominant in the action camera market pretty much since day dot. We've had the first few GoPros that came out and they revolutionized filmmaking, and now they've just been constantly expanding, and now we are here today looking at the GoPro Hero 9 to try and see what we love and what we don't love and what we'd like to see in the GoPro Hero 10. Now, just looking at the GoPro Hero 9 itself, what they've done is they've added a screen, a bit like the Osmo that we've reviewed earlier on. So it's taking a few design ideas from DJI, but mostly this is a GoPro in its design and build. A lovely feature that they've added from the previous model and they've kept are the two little attachments at the bottom, which makes it much easier. You're not worrying about putting on a case over it. You can just use it as is out of the box, which is a lovely feature and one that has been asked for many times and has finally been delivered. In terms of the battery compartment, it's a bit of a struggle to get it out. It takes a bit of a practice to get it, and then you can just pull it out with this little tab and putting it back in. Putting it back on, you got to really squeeze it, so once you get used to the GoPro, it becomes a bit more comfortable. And overall, GoPro audio quality has improved over many models, but with any inbuilt microphone, it is not going to win any awards. In terms of video, they've now worked their way up to 5K, so this is definitely targeting people that are wanting a lot more resolution out of the GoPro. However, there are a few issues that come with this, and that is power. This is a bit underpowered in the CPU sense because when it's trying to process 5K, it really struggles, and that is where GoPro have been let down, or have been letting down, GoPro Hero 9 users. So the Achilles heel of the GoPro Hero 9 is actually sparked all the way back in 2017 when GoPro launched their GP1 chip for the GoPro Hero 6. And from then, they haven't updated the chip at all. So when it was running perfectly well on the Hero 6, 7, and 8, it is now struggling to compete in the GoPro Hero 9. So that would be something we would expect to see out of the GoPro Hero 10, would be a new chip. However, currently there is a chip shortage going on in China, which is where these are made. So it will be a question of whether or not they will opt for a new chip, or whether they'll stick with the GP1 and figure out some coding approach to improve the firmware so it doesn't crash or become unresponsive, which it does in the GoPro Hero 9. It feels like DJI have really thrown GoPro when they introduced the Osmo, because when the Osmo came out, it featured a screen on the front. And as you can see, GoPro 9 has that. And it makes you wonder whether or not that GoPro stumbled at the finish line when it came to building this camera, because they were so worried about how they were going to outcompete a final competitor, because really they've been left unchallenged for most of the market when it comes to making action cameras. Yes, there have been some people that have come in, brands have come in, but they disappear pretty quickly and therefore are seen as a non-threat from GoPro, except till now with the DJI Osmo. However, in saying those remarks, we will give GoPro the award for pushing the limit of what can be done in a very small compact action camera. You have got their introduction of Hypersmooth, which is introduced, and since then they have constantly improved it to the point where people are wondering whether it was electronic or if it was on a gimbal. It is that good. Now, yes, it does have its flaws. People will find flaws, but overall it has been a pretty sound feature and has now become a constant feature within the GoPro Hero models. And one of the newer features that they have now added along with Hypersmooth is horizon lock. So even if there's a slight angle adjustment made on the camera, it'll keep the plane level in the distance, which is a lovely feature and definitely one we can see being used a lot more, especially with people walking around. When they have these on a selfie stick extended, we do have a natural leniency to tilt slightly, so that will definitely be a nice aid when filming and taking photos. So going on to the firmware, the codec is also a major issue. Not so much in the writing onto the SD card of the camera, but it actually comes from post-production. Because of the way the file is laid out, the file needs to be reconverted into something more usable when you're using it in Final Cut or Premiere Pro, because just taking the raw file from the SD card, importing it into the hard drive, and then putting it into your folder to be used, it starts slowing down the project file, which can make editing a real big pain in the butt. just changing the processor and changing the codec will really improve the life when you're editing via mobile, and also when you're editing via your computer, either through Final Cut or Premiere Pro, because as I stated before, the codec does slow the editing down. So changing the codec will change everyone's lives, and they'll love using GoPro even more. So enough of the picking on the GoPro Hero 9. What do we want to see from the GoPro Hero 10? Well, first of all, as we stated, the GP1 processor needs an update. The GoPro Hero 9 cannot process the features that it comes with that processor. That is the big struggle. They also need to improve the codec so they can seamlessly take the video from the camera and then straight into the project file without too many issues. In terms of the color presets, you have GoPro and you have flat. So being able to add a few more features to give users a bit more flexibility would be much nicer, even if it was a cine option, or maybe something that allowed you to get more access to the color and the rendering. So introducing a flatter profile rather than just calling it flat. So for other companies, you have a log profile. That would be really handy in the GoPro Hero 10. In terms of features, one of the areas we'd like to see is GoPro being a bit more open to third-party creators and developers, because everything is very much proprietary through their ecosystem, which means you have to go through them and pay their money in order to get their products. Being able to access it to third-party manufacturers enables the GoPro to become a bit more user-friendly to outsiders who've not used GoPro before and want to have a bit more of a seamless workflow, especially if you want to take the video directly out of the camera and put it into a monitor, or maybe actually want to record to an external recorder, which is what most people like to do during filmmaking, so they can keep everything in one area. Even with audio in, it has to be GoPro's proprietary cable in order to do so. So be able to just even change that feature so you can run any mod that you want, any microphone you want. That will be a big uptick and could even see an increase in GoPro Hero sales. One thing we really hope that GoPro can pull off with the 10 is that it has next to no issues. This is their big deal camera. This is the one that needs to turn heads. This is GoPro number 10. There cannot be any screen issues, there cannot be any Kodak issues. They need to have everything almost perfect, if not completely perfect. Now that sounds like the impossible task, but it's what they need to do. Because if they make another GoPro Hero 9 as a 10 and it has the same issues, there's no point going with number 10. Therefore, there's no point going with number 11. So that's kind of our thoughts on the GoPro Hero 9 and what we'd like to see with the GoPro Hero 10. If you guys have any questions or any things you want to see on the GoPro Hero 10, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, my name's Luke, this is PhotoBite, and we'll see you next time.